Hello everyone. We heard a lot about the USA elections these days, so I'd like to tell you a little bit about the Dutch elections and how the voting works. I heard about voting, how it works in the USA also, and the fact that there are mail ballots and there's also no voter ID mandated. So I felt like that's kind of tricky, the way that works. I'll explain how it works here in the Netherlands, what I'm used to. So in the Netherlands, let's say every 4 years we have to vote for our parliament, who gets the seats. And what happens, we have 1 day to vote, and on that day you have to vote with a mail ballot that you have received on your registered home address, and you have to bring your ID, your ID card, passport, ID card, something that proves that you are that person that's also on the mail ballot. So you have to bring those two things, otherwise you cannot vote. So when you walk into that office, the voting office, everything is checked, your ID is checked very carefully, your voting ballot is checked if it's correct, and then you can go into a cabin, you get this paper to select your candidate, you vote in that room, where you are behind a curtain, and then you go out when you're finished and you put the ballot in the container. Another question, could you also vote for other persons? Well, you can do that. You can vote at a maximum for 2 other persons. So they give you the mandate to vote, the authority. So what happens, you need to have their voting card, and you also need to have a copy of their ID card. So those are both necessary to cast a vote for them, and max 2 other persons. So what if you are abroad? So when you live in another country, you have to register to vote by mail, because that's the only way you can vote from there. You cannot come all the way to the Netherlands. So this is an exception. In that case, you have to register. You have to explain the reason why you have to vote by mail, and if that's the case, if it's valid, then you will get the mail ballot. You will receive it on your address, but then also you have to send it back, including a copy of your ID card. So that is only for a couple of persons who live abroad and do not have a home address here anymore. One funny thing to mention is up to 2007, we used to vote on voting computers, like voting machines. So we would just press a button, and then you would vote on that way. But they found out that it was not safe. You would not get a decent tracking trail where you could check the votes. If it could not be checked by anyone else. So they stopped with that. And now we only vote by pencil and paper again. And it's been like that since 2007, so it's been a while now, but yeah, voting with these computers are sensitive to fraud, to bugs, so this is really tricky for the democracy. These days also you have so many hackers, so many things going on, people trying to enter the data, to get into the data, to manipulate it, anything like that, So that's how voting goes in the Netherlands. Hope you found it interesting. See you next day in another video.